Hey guys, I figured I'd make a tier list of the Monster Hunter games for the ones that I've played so far. So any low effort content, I'm definitely probably going to jump on board here. This list isn't definitive, it's just what I'm currently feeling. I'll probably make a list in the future after my opinions change. Some of these games I played for probably over 1,000 hours, some less than that. It's just going to be my current how I'd rank the game right now. This tier list is probably going to change much later once I played all the games and stuff, but here are my thoughts. Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, I'm gonna put that in A for now. I might change this. Let's see where we go from here. Play low rank and high rank. I already started going in the hub. I feel the hub is a little bit grindy. I think the main thing I really like about 4U, and I actually think is the best out of all the games I played, is the cutscenes. The cutscenes are absolutely fantastic in this game. One reason the cutscenes are really good is because they don't overstay their welcome. They're paced very well. They're directed very well. And honestly, a lot of video games can look at Monster Hunter 4 and study how they do cutscenes and try to emulate or copy that because it's a masterclass on how they do cutscenes. So I played 4U after GU, and it's interesting going from GU where you don't have hunter arts, so you just have like the weapon. And that's mostly fine. I like the frenzy monsters too. If I had to pick between frenzy monsters in 4U versus hyper monsters in GU, I feel like frenzy monsters are a little bit more fun just because you can get the frenzy virus and then you get some attack buffs and you get the affinity up buff when you hit the monster enough. So it's sort of like a mini game you're playing. I feel it's just more fun. It's a little bit less stressful than hyper monsters. One thing I like about frenzy monsters too is that you can hit them out of the frenzy state, right? So if you are really good and you can just keep hitting them, eventually you'll knock them out of the state, and then you get a really long topple. Their capabilities are severely diminished, and it just has a, there's like a climax to the fight, where it starts to turn in your favor, and that's always fun in every hunt. With hyper monsters in GU, the monster is always amped up, so you never get that phase where you start to feel like you're overcoming the monster. The monster is just like blasted to the tits for the whole fight, and it gets a little bit overwhelming. And when I fight hyper monsters in GU, I'm like, okay, time to fight this thing again, or I have to fight this thing 10 times just to farm a certain part. And it's like, it's never like, oh, I'm super stoked about fighting hyper monsters, whereas frenzy monster, I'm like, okay, frenzy monster, a little bit harder, probably gonna be really fun, a little bit more intense. So that's one thing I like about 4U. Didn't get the G rank version yet, still working on that. For the record, I'm playing all of these on SNS and dual blades. Maybe we'll hit other weapons later, I don't know. I mean, honestly, you could be playing these games for like a decade or more if you want to play every weapon on every single game, which honestly, I feel like I might do at this point. Like I'm going through all the games pretty quickly, I feel. I think that's just a testament to how much value you can get out of these games, and I think that's probably one reason why Monster Hunter is so beloved by video game players. This, I don't know what this is. Freedom 2, didn't play that. Freedom Unite, didn't play that. I believe Freedom Unite is Monster Hunter 1 on PSP. Someone can correct me in the comments below, but okay, Monster Hunter Generations. And I'll just put it with Double Cross, which is the same thing, basically, right? Generations and Generations Ultimate. Monster Hunter, okay, so we have Monster Hunter Double Cross, which is also known as Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate in the West. In Japan, it's called Monster Hunter Double Cross, which is the G rank version. Generations Ultimate is the English version of the G rank expansion of Monster Hunter Generations. So the smooth brain way of thinking about it is Monster Hunter Generations is like Monster Hunter World, and Monster Hunter Double Cross or Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, whether you're in Japan or the West, is basically Iceborne. So I'll put them together just because like I played Double Cross and I just played that version, right? I think Double Cross is S tier. The main thing that stands out for me for Double Cross is that its progression is top tier. So how I like to play Monster Hunter, especially like these older Monster Hunter games, is like I like to take my time and I like to see very incremental gains in power, or I like to pursue and plan out my adventure, right? Where I'm trying to just slowly gain little bits of power. Now, I think some people play a little bit different. Like people that are trying to rush the game, they'll actually try to skip certain tiers where, they'll just try to rock like the beginner armor set for a long time before they actually start upgrading their armor. I like to build out in parallel. So one thing I'll do, and this is if you see me on the streams, I'll actually build out every single SNS or every single dual blades because I'm always comparing the numbers and I want to see, okay, in this matchup, will this upgrade give me an advantage against this fight or this type of monster or this flying wyvern or this elemental weakness? And I'm doing that during progression. Now, some people typically like to reserve that optimization for endgame. For me, I like doing that during progression. And I feel like Monster Hunter is really, really fun when those considerations are happening during progression, so low rank, high rank, early game, mid game. And Monster Hunter Double Cross does exactly that. The game doesn't let you get too powerful too directly right on. There's always like an alternative path or a parallel path that you can take, or like a auxiliary dual blades or SNS or weapon that you can create that can give you an advantage against a certain monster matchup, which is good for progression. And this is the number one reason why it works so well in Double Cross, is because there's an incentive to do that. So what do I mean by that? Well, the hunts in Double Cross, I feel like if you're good for low rank, tier 1 monsters probably below 10 minutes. When you have some semi-optimization going, you can probably get it done in like 5 minutes. For tier 2, tier 3 monsters, high rank, you're probably, if you're pretty good, probably between 10 and 15 minutes. But because the RNG is so bad on the parts that you're trying to farm, you have to do these hunts over and over and over. So the game gives you a natural incentive to try and optimize early on. Because if I have to fight like Rathalos 10 times for like 50 scales or something like that, I'm incentivized to, like, if I don't have access to dragon weapons early on, like, okay, well, how can I handle this Rathalos to make farming a little bit easier? Well, the answer is like go lightning weapons, right? And because the monster roster is so big, there's always some advantage you can gain during progression if you really try to study the trees, what materials you need, and taking advantage of that stuff during progression is what I find is honestly is a masterclass in progression. And I think all games need to study Generations Ultimate, Monster Hunter Double Cross. In fact, I feel like Capcom can even look back on their own work and study their own work. Look back at Monster Hunter Double Cross and apply that to Monster Hunter games going forward. I could talk a lot more about Monster Hunter Double Cross, so let me know in the comments if you want me to talk about that. I could talk about it for an hour, but a really good game. So I'm going to just throw this at the bottom of the list because, I'm going to put Double Cross with Generations. All right, what is this? Monster Hunter Portable. I did not play any of the PSP games. Maybe one day I will. So we're going to just leave that there. Monster Hunter 3, I did not play it yet. We're definitely going to play this. Stories didn't play. Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, that's with Monster Hunter 3. Didn't play that yet. We'll play that soon. Monster Hunter 3 is the only mainline game I didn't play yet, by the way. All right. Monster Hunter 4? What is this? Is this Monster Hunter 4? Okay, so I'm going to leave that with 4 Ultimate. I don't know what this is. Monster Hunter G. Okay, I did play this. Monster Hunter G, I would rate it, I'm going to put it at B right now. And the reason I'm putting it at B is because I think it feels more like a beta to Monster Hunter 2 DOS. Monster Hunter 2 feels like the first game in Monster Hunter, at least to me. One reason I say that is because the number of monsters in Monster Hunter G are actually not that much. And there's a lot of gameplay mechanics in the game that feel underbaked. I don't want to say not play tested, but they feel very oppressive. So it's like I feel like the developers wanted to make a really strong emphasis on the survival aspect of Monster Hunter. So there's a big emphasis on gathering and making sure you take the right items into a hunt, and you can't fuck up using those items as well, because then you're gonna have to do more gathering, and it's very tedious. And I see where they're going with it, but it just doesn't seem like it's fully fledged. Like the idea, it's like it just seems like a draft of the game. So I'll leave it at that because I want to talk more about Monster Hunter DOS because I think it's highly related to Monster Hunter G. So the next one, I don't know what this is. Off-spin game, perhaps. Let's go with Monster Hunter DOS. Okay, Monster Hunter DOS, I think it's S tier. Now, I didn't beat yet. I think I only got up to Plesioth. So we did Kangalala, Yankutku, Gypceros, all of the Raptors, Cephadrome, all the tier 1 monsters. And this is one of those games I can tell after understanding all the gameplay mechanics, this is just an S tier game. Another game I felt that way was Armored Core 5 or 6, or the most recent Armored Core. And the reason I say that is because this is the type of game, like, you see what they're doing, you just immediately get it. Like, it makes sense. Like, okay, the weather system, so the cold season, the hot season, and the breeding season basically limits what monsters are available and what items are available on the map, as well as what areas are accessible on the map. That's actually during the day and night cycle. So during the night cycle, the water rises. So some areas are inaccessible during nighttime, as well as some gathering nodes are also inaccessible. For example, you cannot get bugs from the jungle during the daytime, but they appear at night. Additionally, you cannot get honey during the cold season because, I don't know, the bees are hibernating or something. This also affects like how the monsters appear in the maps. Like some monsters won't appear during certain seasons. So some would think, okay, this makes this game a little bit more complicated. I actually just don't really agree with that. I think it makes the game more simpler because the game is sort of guiding you on what to do. So you have a bunch of goals, right? So this is one issue I have with Monster Hunter, is that there's so much crap to do at any given time. Like, you have so many things you want to build out. You sort of get paralyzed with all the choice that you have. But the nice thing about Monster Hunter 2 is because there's a season system and a day-night system, and because you're limited to certain activities or hunts or monsters you want to hunt, the game's just telling you, well, you straight up can't do some of this stuff. So, okay, out of these limited options I have, it's much easier to make a choice what monster I want to hunt or what material I want to try farm for, or, you know, even just go on a gathering quest. So that's one thing I really like about Monster Hunter 2 Dose, and it feels very organic to living in the world. So like when I'm playing Monster Hunter 2, the timer is actually going 24/7. There's actually a way to pause the game, but if you don't pause the game, you just stand there, the timer's actually going to be going and the seasons are going to be passing. It's fine, but you know, there's sort of like a sense of urgency where you're like, okay, well, I can only get honey during hot season or breeding season, so I need to make sure, okay, I need to allocate some time to make sure I get some honey or restore my inventory and my stocks so I can make mega potions. You're just sort of this guy who's at the mercy of the time system and the weather system, and you're trying to make the best of your situation, which is very survival in nature, similar to Monster Hunter G. So, you know, Monster Hunter G or Monster Hunter 1, whatever you want to call it, foundation for that survival style of gameplay. But I think the time system and the weather system really makes that gathering aspect and survival aspect of the game very impactful, almost to the point that it's very rewarding. It's very fun to play. It's very, the gameplay loop is very enjoyable because, okay, you hunt the monster, that's fun. Of course, fighting the monsters are always fun. But when you come back to town, the time is ticking and you're kind of like, okay, what am I going to do next? Like, you're planning, like you got to organize your box. You got to figure out what you're going to craft. You know, I got, 4 more hours until dawn or sunset. And, you're very engaged in the village. Whereas with the new games, the village is just a hub just to sit around, dick around and prepare for the next hunt. But in Monster Hunter Dose, you're really, really going hardcore item management, preparing for the next hunt. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on opportunity for the seasons. So I can make another hour-long video on Monster Hunter Dose, but I'm gonna put it at S tier right now, and I really enjoy it. And this is one of those rare S tier games where you don't have to play it for 800 hours. Like Monster Hunter GU, I played for I think 1,000 hours already. Monster Hunter 2, I just immediately got it. I immediately knew it's an S tier game. All right, next one, I don't know what this is. This is Monster Hunter 1, and I put it with my Monster Hunter G, so we'll put it at the back of the list. Is there any more comments I want to say about Monster Hunter 1? I mean, the hitbox sucks. This is true for Monster Hunter 2 as well. The hitbox are kind of atrocious. The control scheme with the control stick being the attack buttons, I know why they did it. The reason they did that is because there's not enough buttons on the controller, or at least they thought there weren't enough buttons, because you have 3 attacks. Basically, you have your X attack, your B attack, and your double button attack. But they didn't think to use double buttons as the third attack. They just made up on the right stick your first attack, left on the right stick your second attack, and down on the stick your third attack. And to be honest, the stick system is actually fine. What the main issue is the camera being on the D-pad. So you can use the D-pad to change the camera, and if you're using a small enough controller, you can use your thumb to come across and hit the D-pad and adjust the camera. That kind of works. There are some mods out there that let you use the PSP controls, which are the controls that most New World hunters are familiar with the right stick controlling the camera and using the face buttons to attack. Honestly, the main difficulty for me for Monster Hunter 1 and 2 is the buffer windows for combos I feel are pretty tight for some moves. For example, trying to do a round slash after a 1-2-3 combo is very, very tight for some reason, and I'm not sure why. I feel like developers were kind of just making it really hard from the get-go, and they probably just adjusted later on to make it a little bit easier and a little bit more lenient. But the attack being on the stick is actually not that big of an issue. It's the buffer windows for loading up attacks in your combo chain. Monster Hunter Freedom, didn't play that. Monster Hunter Frontier G, didn't play that. Monster Hunter Rise, I would put that at a solid A. One thing I really like about Monster Hunter Rise is the PC release, where you can pretty much uncapped frame rates. And it's really, really fun playing Monster Hunter, an action RPG with really high frame rates. The Silkbind skills are definitely an extension of the Hunter arts from Double Cross. I like the roster in Monster Hunter Rise. The fights are fast paced. It's a very nice, fun, arcadey version of Monster Hunter, and I really like it. There's probably like a divide in the community where they like some people like the old world survival aspect of Monster Hunter, or Hunter mechanics, and they're complaining that the newer games sort of strayed away from those hunting mechanics and are just more like fighting games now. I actually like both. I think there's room for both. I'll probably make a video on this later, but my rough idea is I feel like Capcom should have their two teams that make Monster Hunter. You know, have one do a mainline version of the game that's very arcadey and accessible to the mainstream, and then heavily market that, and then have the other team probably be composed of more veterans. Return to the old style of Monster Hunter where it's very brutal, very survival-like, and don't market that game. Let that game be marketed through word of mouth and content creators and etc. And so your marketing budget for that more brutal game would be less. But of course, content creators will create videos and promotions for the more brutal, old style of Monster Hunter. And I think through word of mouth, you'll actually get some of the players from mainstream Monster Hunter start to become a little bit interested in the old style of Monster Hunter and may even grow to like it. But because you're not spending a budget on that niche old world style of Monster Hunter, you can actually justify and probably be in the black for sales of that game. So you're not pressured to make sales for an old retro style of Monster Hunter. It's just an idea. I'm not a Capcom executive. It's just a random ass idea. I'm just a guy on the internet, right? We have Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Iceborne. So I'm just gonna put it together just for sake of simplicity. I would put Iceborne I think I'll put it in A. I think it's very solid. There's nothing about it that sticks out particularly well for me about Iceborne. Now, I do like the graphics. I do like the high frame rates. I do like the fact it's on PC. I actually do like that gathering isn't such a big deal. Like, you have to do a little bit of it, but it's not such a big emphasis. And then it's more of an emphasis on the fights. I think ultimately for every player, it comes down to their, what flavor they like of Monster Hunter. For me, I like all the flavors, and it depends like what side of the bed I wake up on. Determining which flavor I like in that particular moment or day or week or month. But Monster Hunter Iceborne, very solid roster, very good fights. The last one I want to include here is, and it's actually not on this list, I'm gonna put Monster Hunter Wilds. There's nothing on here for Monster Hunter Wilds, but I'm gonna say this thing is Monster Hunter Wilds because I can't read that Japanese, and I don't even know what this picture is of. But if this is Monster Hunter Wilds, where would I put it? I'll put it at S tier. The reason I put it on S tier is because I think the combat mechanics in Monster Hunter Wilds are really, really strong and really promising for the series going forward. Like, we got mounting. Correct me if I'm wrong. Mounting was introduced in 4. Someone correct me if it was introduced in 3 or 4. We got the Slinger in Iceborne. We got Hunter Arts in Double Cross. We got extension of Hunter Arts and the Silkbind system in Rise. But in Wilds, we got Focus Mode, Wounds, Focus Strikes are a very big component to the game, and it drastically changes how the game is approached because you can now rotate with infinite precision. And this is actually one thing I see not a lot of people taking advantage of, or at least probably more casual people. And I mean, the game's easy enough that it's not a big deal. And this is actually one trend I've seen with Monster Hunter is that when they introduced a new mechanic in the game, they tend to make that mechanic overpowered. For example, for 4, with mounting, on low rank monsters, you can get your first mount off of the first mounting hit that you do. And you can just spam it. It's really freaking strong. And then I've noticed in Double Cross, they nerfed mounting. So it takes a lot more effort to get the mount, and it's also a little bit harder to complete the mount. And the reason I say that is because in Wild, with the focus mode, because it's the brand new mechanic that they're introducing in the game, they tend to make it a little bit stronger. So I think if you see another iteration of focus mode, they'll actually nerf it a little bit. But overall, I really like focus mode. It opens up a new way to approach the game because you have access to all directions and you have more access to parts than you previously wouldn't have. And it does change the gameplay a little. It mixes it up a little, right? Because if you're like SNS dual blades and you're only used to hitting the legs, well, because you have a little bit more rotational capabilities, the capabilities of the weapon expand a little bit, so you can probably hit parts that you're not usually used to hitting, or you approach the monster a little bit differently. And that's a good thing because, look how many games there are. If you're just going to reiterate and rehash the same game over and over, you're basically just playing the same Monster Hunter over and over. But with Wilds, because the gameplay is so radically different with the focus mode, it just feels like a fresh new Monster Hunter. It's very fun to do. It's very actiony, and I think it's a very good change going forward, despite what a lot of people say. I think Capcom is definitely onto something with focus mode. One way I would put focus mode is it's like playing Armored Core in Monster Hunter. And if you don't like Armored Core, then you probably won't like Monster Hunter Wilds. Focus mode is very polarizing for some people. I personally really like it a lot. I acknowledge that some people don't like it, but I can't wait to see what Capcom does with focus mode and its impact on the series. So that's all I'll say for now. You know, this is just my personal tier list, right? I'm gonna put it high up here. Probably organize these a little bit. So Monster Hunter 1, Monster Hunter G. We'll just put the titles together just because we can. So right, then they'll be like here, right? This is Monster Hunter 4, right? It'll be here. For the top of A tier, do I think Monster Hunter 4 is better than Rise and Iceborne? In my current state, I want to say no. I think Rise is better than 4, purely from gameplay standpoint. Is 4 better than Iceborne, World Iceborne? I want to say no as well. Still very good. I really like the cutscenes and stuff, but if I had to pick one game I play for the rest of my life out of these three, probably be in the order of Rise, Iceborne, Actually, now that I think about it, would I put Iceborne over Rise? I want to say yes. World Iceborne over Rise. I mean, Soak My Skills are really freaking fun, man. That's a tough one. I kind of want to put them equal. I'll put Rise. I'll put Rise above. So we got Double Cross. So let's put Generations Ultimate with Double Cross. Let's put it up here, right here. Generations with Double Cross. Interesting, Sunbreak is not on here, but I feel like Sunbreak is actually a really big, strong addition to Monster Hunter Rise as the G rank expansion, or Master rank, whatever you want to call it. Do I think Monster Hunter 2 is better than Monster Hunter Generations? No, I think Generations, if I had to pick one game to play for the rest of my life, it would probably be Double Cross. Monster Hunter 2 is very strong. Don't get me wrong, it's very, very, very strong. It is very strong. Is it better than Wilds though? Put Wilds above 2 for now. My opinion might change later after I play through the rest of 2. The question is should I put Wilds above Monster Hunter Double Cross? I think it's too early to tell for Wilds. We have to see the whole game. We have to see what the expansion is like. I do think it has potential to be stronger than Double Cross though. It has potential, but I'm gonna leave it like this. I'm gonna put Double Cross or GU, then I'm gonna put Wilds, I'm gonna put Monster Hunter 2. And I think that's my current list right now. Again, this is all subject to change once I put in more hours, but I don't know, this is a fun video just to give you my current thoughts. Having a blast right now. We are definitely going to hit Monster Hunter 3 eventually in 3 Ultimate. I'm actually streaming it on Twitch. I don't know if anyone's interested, but we are playing Monster Hunter 2 right now. I'm having an absolute blast playing that game. But anyways, yeah, that's the video. And I think we'll leave it at that. Have a good one. See ya.